Hello, beautiful soul family, and welcome to Weekly Wisdom and Insights, your home for spiritually guided transformation and empowerment. I am your host, Dearjames, and together with the unseen, spirit, source, and symphony, we look at the current energies, the intuitive wisdom and insights, and we go as guided. And we are working with some beautiful, powerful energy that is commencing tomorrow, where Mars enters Aries, its domicile, its home. And let's just jump to that really quickly. Welcome, Kiki. Welcome, Alicia. And look at the current energies. We're going to look at the astrological chart for when Mars enters Aries on the 9th of April. And you'll immediately see that the moon is opposing Jupiter. The moon is also square the sun, and the sun is square Jupiter. And then we have this mini grand trine between that's been playing out that is between Pluto and, pardon me, looking there at Mars and then Neptune. So immediately when I looked at this, so Mars is entering its domicile, Aries. This is divine masculine, the purity of divine masculine energies. And as we look at this, instantly again, I read the astrology intuitively. And what came was, and I'm just going to bring it up here for everyone, I heard the term slingshot ricochet. So slingshot ricochet. And this slingshot ricochet often symbolizes a divine redirection or a necessary, albeit unexpected, deviation from a planned path, suggesting that a setback is actually setting you up for a better outcome. While a standard slingshot metaphor focuses on pulling back to move forward, a ricochet adds the element of unexpected change or rebounding, off an obstacle to find the true intended target. And you'll see here in a minute heavily the divine, God, the divine, the all that is, the unseen. This, and when I use the term heavy hand, I don't mean that in an oppressive manner, but it's the guiding hand. It's that heavy hand that is orchestrating. It's the host, the master weaver, uh, creating everything for us, and how we're either in alignment, in flow with it, or we're not. And so this ricochet, slingshot ricochet, it's a divine redirection. The projectiles bouncing off of an obstacle represents the universe or higher power, redirecting your efforts away from a wrong target and towards the correct one. A ricochet signifies that when a plan falls or fails or hits a barrier, the energy is not wasted. It is being redirected to create a new, often more powerful trajectory. It symbolizes the ability to bounce back from adversity. Just as a stone hitting a hard surface doesn't always break, but changes direction, challenges in life can be used to propel you toward success. A ricochet indicates that a direct, straightforward approach might not be appropriate and a different angle or approach is required. And this immediately reminds me of the Israelites being liberated from Egypt. God didn't take them in a direct path. It was a very meandering path that tested one's, tenacity and resolve and commitment, as opposed to through these trials, through the desert, so to speak, that allowed the divine to say, yes, I see your commitment. Okay, here it is. And so it's this ricocheting, this slingshot. In the broader slingshot theory, the tension of being pulled back, which represents struggles, combined with the unexpected twist of a ricochet, represents a divine turnaround. It represents the lesson that while you cannot control when life pulls you back or where you ricochet, you can trust in the ultimate goal. You can trust in the divine, the unseen, God, Allah, Buddha, the all that is, however you ascribe. You can trust that your soul knows the way. The key here, it's our main theme. The key is all in divine time. Things are getting hot. Mars enters Aries. Things are getting hot. With Mars entering Aries tomorrow, there will be 5 planets, heavenly bodies, in the sign of Aries. When Mercury enters, there will be 6, all in the first sign of the zodiac, all in that representing the creative force, the fire, the kundalini, to take action, to move forward. However, it's all in divine time. It's number 1 from the unseen. Strength in a time of trial! Exclamation point. We're being guided and we're being awakened to the fact that we need strength, this courage, this divine will operating with us, through us, so that the choices we make, it delivers us the slingshot ricochet path, force, the divine force, delivers us to the right location. So strength in a time of trial, divine time, will, and order. It is about aligning with the divine, and the divine is not outside of us. The divine is within us. It is our divine will within us. It is our soul source connection within us, leading us, guiding us. And when we heed that, and ego, mind, personality, human, the monkey mind, all of that is going to want to override that wisdom, that divine knowing. And it will take everything, because this was a personal example. One can know something and you're making choices in the moment. And you have a knowing, an awareness. Oh, I can do, my energy and my focus is on this, this, and this. And then the hard part comes once that's completed, because then it's a now what? Because the ego, the mind, the human, the personality is going to feel more calm, more assured. Oh, I can see this. I know I can do this. But there's also an inner awareness of, but then what happens? Once that's done, now the hard part begins. In the reverse or the inverse of that, the hard part is at the beginning. It's listening to your soul saying, are you aware that, something's going to, like, now what? So the hard part is in the allowing, the releasing up front, because we don't know. We can't see down and around the corner. And so the hard part is front loaded. And then it opens up and becomes easy. So there's choice here. So let's go to our keyword, because this is our keyword, which is allow. When we allow ourselves to listen, to open up to the divine wisdom that is flowing through us, this is where it may be more challenging or difficult in the beginning, but because we heeded the messages, we listened, we allowed, it opens up. And so allow is give the necessary time or opportunity to make it possible for something to be done or to happen, to give permission to or to permit, the act of giving consent or approval for something. And then we also have spiritually the meaning of allow. So the spiritual meaning of allow is the practice of letting go of control, resistance, and judgment to accept the present moment and trust in the flow of life. It is a high vibrational state of surrender that allows desires to manifest without forceful manipulation. It emphasizes receiving rather than forcing. So if we know that we're doing something that is forcing an issue, or it's, am I, ego, mind, personality, human, choosing this? And yet my soul, because it's easy, because I can see it, because it's tangible, because I know, but there's an awareness that says, and once this is done, oh, then what? Then there's a big void. Then there's a big, like, oh, I can see that I'm going to get smacked with reality. And this time right now, the astrological energies coming through right now, up through mid-April and everything, the choices we make now will have long-lasting effect. So where we think we might be somewhere a year or two or something, or I might take this job for a year or two, or I might live here for a year or two, or that year or two may turn into a decade, because what we choose in this moment is going to have this long-lasting effect. And so it's important to be in the flow and in the alignment with welcome calling, with the divine, with your intuitive knowing. Don't force things, be in the flow with them. Heed your internal wisdom, your internal knowing, your internal GPS. It is, and it's all in divine time. Things are getting hot. So things are building, but it's what we choose in this moment that's going to have long-lasting effect. So again, the spiritual meaning of allow is the practice of letting go of control, resistance, and judgment to accept the present moment and trust in the flow of life. Allowing involves accepting reality as it is rather than arguing with it, fixing it, or fighting it. It is the opposite of forcing, controlling, or fearing. This means releasing fear, anger, doubt, judgment, and guilt. Resistance hinders the manifestation process, while allowing aligns your vibration with your desires. It implies a deep trust that what you can and will, it implies a deep trust that what you want can and will come to you, allowing you to move from a state of doing to being. It's not about forcing it, it's about being in the flow, it's about allowing. Within the law of attraction, allowing means keeping your energy at a high frequency consistent with what you wish to experience. We'll come to it, well, we're just going to go to it. Last week, our mantra was, I am my highest octave. But this is also then, it's a choice. So the unseen is saying to us, you are your highest octave. The mantra this week is, I choose my highest octave. What am I choosing? And so again, ego, mind, personality, human is always going to choose something safe, something known, something that feels secure. Your knowing is going to say, but that's not your highest octave. Your highest octave is, air quotes, what's unknown to you. And yet here's the, I forget the word, here's the double, the entendre, the rub, is that it is known to you. It is known to us. There's a knowing. Your soul is speaking. It's saying, choose your highest octave. Or it's asking the question, is this your highest octave? Because the unseen is making it very clear. I'm just bringing them back up again. We are our highest octave. It's already within us. Are we choosing it? We have to choose our highest octave. Otherwise, we're playing it small. We're playing it safe. We're minimizing our light, our vibrant energy and ripple. And that's not what this era and this time, and it's certainly not what the new is about. The new is about being seen in the most, from the most pure way. It has nothing to do with ego. It has everything to do with service. So when I'm operating at my highest octave, it's natural, it's organic, it's like 100,000 watts of light just radiating, rippling out, because it is. It's not forcing anything. It's not forcing something to happen. It's flowing. So it implies this deep trust. And then lastly, by surrendering, you stop restricting potential outcomes, allowing for a better result than you might have designed yourself. Your soul, the unseen, the all that is, when you listen and connect to it and go as guided, it will always deliver something greater, bigger, better. than the ego, mind, personality human would have ever chosen. It requires faith, divine will, faith, alignment, allowing. So it is strength in a time of trial. This came through yesterday. Strength in a time of trial, divine time, will, and order. And our key word, allow. And that this slingshot ricochet, we're being guided. We all want to just get there straight ahead. Boom, point A to point B. However, the slingshot ricochet is saying nothing is wasted, everything's purposeful. So meander, go with the flow. It's almost like a ping, like when you play pinball machine or a pachinko machine in Japan. The ball's going bing, 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 but the energy's not wasted. It's not lost. And it's leading us all in divine time, will, and order. It's leading us, but we must choose. We have a choice. Are we choosing our highest octave? It's a choice. Or am I choosing to play it small? And that's going to be it. That question, those two choices are going to get louder and louder and louder, because remember, things are getting hot. And you're going to know. You will know, this is safe. This is the safe choice. This is me playing it small, safe. This is me minimizing. This is me not, stepping out of my comfort zone. This is me not saying I'm going for it. This is me not quantum leaping. This is me not facing my fears. You'll know. And that knowing and that difference of choice is going to be become increasingly louder. So listen, because it's number 2 from the unseen, a profound reckoning, reconciling. This reckoning and reconciling is with God, the divine, and humanity. And within us, it's a profound reckoning and reconciling between the ego, mind, personality, and the soul source connection. And so a profound reckoning, reconciling. Round and round and round it goes. Where it stops, nobody knows. And that was for a carnival huckster type. It's a saying that's associated with that. However, and they said, so round and round and round it goes. Where it stops, nobody knows. And then they said, God knows, your soul knows, the divine knows, the unseen knows. And reckoning is the action or process of calculating or estimating something. Reconciling is to make consistent with another. So in other words, it's our ledger. The reckoning is our ledger. It's an accounting term. It's also biblically utilized, that we're looking at our divine ledger, our life ledger, and then reconciling to make consistent with another. So this is about literally the human aspect of us coming into consistency, into harmony and balance with our soul, our divinity. And that while round and round and round it goes, and so you can see this zigzagging, there's no straight line to something. We're being meandered through. And so this round and round and round it goes. Where it stops, nobody knows. But the divine knows. Your soul knows. Which octave of yourself, of your life, are you choosing? Are you up-leveling? Are you up-reaching? Are you going for it? Takes trust, takes patience, takes commitment, takes surrender, takes allowing. This is what it takes. And to be in the flow, in trust with the unseen. Because again, when we're making human choices from the mind, we're going to know. It's not unlike when we enter a relationship. You can say client after client. The unseen will say to the client, but you knew. You knew you were trying to overlooking this, or you were going to fix this, or you knew and you did it anyways. It wasn't that it was unknown to you. It wasn't that you got, 2 years into a relationship or 10 years into it and went, oh, this just happened. You knew it at the very beginning and you either chose to ignore it. We do that. Humans, you know, we bury our heads in the sand, or we explain it away, or we barter, or we beg, we negotiate, we procrastinate, but it was known to us. It's the same thing now. So we have this, and it's with the Wheel of Fortune. So this, where it stops, nobody knows, the divine knows. And then the Wheel of Fortune. And the Wheel of Fortune in the tarot signifies major life changes, fate, cycles, and unexpected turning points. As a major arcana card, it represents the inevitable ups and downs of life, reminding us that this too shall pass. It advises adapting to uncontrollable events, all in divine time, will, and order. Reminding uncontrollable events, embracing change, and trusting the universe's timing. Upright, it represents luck, destiny, turning points, karma, cycles, opportunity, and change. Reversed, when we're not in the flow, it can be about bad luck, resistance to change, breaking cycles, setbacks, unwanted changes. Because again, it's the tower. How are we expound? The tower can be positive, it can be felt in a negative way. It can be the cosmic 2x4, or you don't need one because you're in the flow. It represents a turning point. The card, the Wheel of Fortune, often appears when a significant change in circumstances is occurring, moving from one cycle to the next. It suggests that fate is playing a role and that past actions, karma, are coming to fruition. The major arcana cards in the tarot represent fated events, fate, destiny. Unlike other cards, this card, the Wheel of Fortune, represents events outside your direct control. This is about the divine, the master weaver, the host, guiding, controlling the narrative. So these are about events that are outside your direct control, prompting a need to adapt rather than force a specific outcome. While the rim of the wheel spins with chaos, the hub, the center, represents finding inner stability amidst external life changes. We have talked about this a lot in the weekly wisdom and insights, that when we stand in the eye of the hurricane, the storm, it's perfectly peaceful. When we step outside of that, the outer area of the wheel, it's chaos, confusion, illusion, delusion, fear, anxiety. Step back into center, peaceful and calm. The wheel usually represents a wheel with 8 spokes, representing the wheel of life or the wheel of karma. It's also about 8 spokes, the 8 of wands, this fast-moving energy. So it's about change, and it's about this fast, and Mars enters Aries. This is fire. This is divine masculine in its purity, in its domicile, in this creative force to initiate, take action. However, it's divine action, divine will, divine time, divine order. It's not the human running roughshod or choosing out of fear. Colleen is saying, which is where I am right now. And this is that beautiful, and she's saying it's brutal. Yes, because again, if we're in chaos, that's the experience we're having. However, we can divinely surrender to our soul, to our knowing, and saying, instead of me being chaos and crazy, buying into the illusion and the delusion, the fear, the anxiety, let me suspend that. And it's a choice. Am I choosing I choose my highest octave. When I choose my highest octave, the fear, the hard part is in letting go of all of these things and letting go of what we think we're supposed to do, when everything in us is telling us this is what we're meant to do. It's hard to do that when it's not something tangible, physical, literal in front of us. And the ego, the mind, the personality, the human is so conditioned to save, protect, keep safe that it doesn't like letting go of that control. And yet the minute we do, everything just kind of like, it's like a pressure cooker. The pressure just decreases. And all of a sudden you feel peaceful, you feel aligned, you feel like, that was the right decision to maybe withdraw this or suspend that or take a step back. Ricochet, slingshot, ricochet. And then trust, listen, trust, go as guided. And again, these are going to get louder. These energies, these themes are going to get louder and louder and louder as we go. So on the Wheel of Fortune, and I'll bring it back up here again just so everybody can see, often it's surrounded by figures like a Sphinx, which represents wisdom, Anubis, the underworld and change, and Typhon, the chaotic descending force. Reverse the Wheel of Fortune suggests you may be fighting a necessary change or stuck in a negative cycle. It may indicate a sudden, uncomfortable, but necessary shift in luck, or a warning that relying on external luck has backfired. So again, it's not, see of all this external, it's not about what's external. The external represents the internal. And so we're meant to, am I in alignment? And that we're in this moment of a profound reckoning and reconciling with the divine. Divine will, divine time, divine order, the purity of it. It's not unlike the earth. When the earth on its axis is true north, it's eternal spring on earth. We're 23.5 degrees, I believe, off center. We're on a wobble. And then look at what's occurring. Because it's a natural representation, it's an external representation of the internal goo, shadow that we collectively over millennia have accrued through choices. And this is a profound reckoning. It's a divine reckoning and reconciling. It's a purifying, a cleansing. And we're all being forced growth. Was a show a few weeks back. We're all in this stage of forced growth. Why? Because look at this. When Mars enters and then tomorrow into Aries, there will be there's now 5 planets. There'll be Mars, Neptune, Saturn, the Sun, and Chiron. Mercury is just behind it. When Mercury enters in, I think it's about 10 days, there'll be 6 planets. That's a stellium, all lined up in Aries. It commences the astrological year. So look at all this fire energy, all of this wisdom, the purity of the divine to initiate and take action, not the old way, not doubling and quadrupling down on what we've done and where we've been and what we know, but in the new. We completed the old cycle. We're done. All the major planets are changing signs. Uranus changes signs at the end on the 26th of April. In July, Jupiter will change signs into Leo, but all the major outer planets have shifted. They're in their new signs, moving forward, or will be here shortly. And then here's this stellium of 5 and 6 planets in Aries. That Neptune-Jupiter at 0 degrees, Aries, conjunction that hasn't occurred in 6,000 plus years. So this is a major reset. It is about the matriarchal, Aquarian, we the people energy. That's represented by knowing, by the soul. That is not external, it's internal. Number 3 from the unseen, they said, ain't no sunshine when she's gone. They gave that to us a few weeks back. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Made famous, of course, by the movie Notting Hill, or more famous, I should say. But ain't no sunshine when she's gone. And then they talked about the divine feminine. See, it is the divine feminine, and we are shifting because of the precession, the great year. It takes approximately 26,000 and change years on the precession to go through each sign, the astrological signs. Well, the star Regulus, which is the heart of the lion in Leo, as of November of 2011, due to the precession, that star Regulus, representing, it's one of the four royal stars of ancient antiquities and ancient astrology and wisdom, rises in the sign of Virgo. Virgo is the only astrological sign that is represented by a woman, by a human. Well, by a woman, because Aquarius is represented by the water carrier, the water bearer. But it's the only one represented by a woman. And Regulus is rising until 2038. It will be at 0 degrees Virgo. Well, hello, divine feminine. The purity, so Regulus, the heart of Leo, the divine masculine, in service to, rising at 0 degrees Virgo, in service to the divine feminine. The purity of the two working in harmony and balance with one another to recreate or to return to an era. It's never, astrology is never, it's cyclical, not identical. So, but the point here is, here's the divine masculine rising in service to the divine feminine at 0 degrees, the beginning of Virgo, representing the divine feminine. She holds the wheat. She's that connects, it's the purity of Mother Earth, the nourishment of Mother Earth, the nourishment of humanity. These two working in concert with one another to uplift Mother Earth, humanity, all of us. Our mantra, I choose my highest octave. Because you're either playing it great or you're playing it small. It's a choice. What's not unknown to us is, I am my highest octave. It's within us. It is not outside of us. So now let's move to, and let me go to number 4 really quickly from the unseen. They said peak performance. Optimal realities before you. So before us. Choose. It's a choice. So we have this peak performance. Things are getting hot. This stellium of planets in Aries. All the major planets have shifted. It's all about the new. Regulus is at 0 degrees Virgo in the divine feminine. In the home, the house of the divine feminine. The rise. It is about the purity of them. And it's not the divine feminine over the divine masculine. It is not an impurity. It is the purity of the two of them working in harmony to a higher octave, a greater good, a higher purity, a higher harmony and balance. And when all of that comes in together, and how we experience it individually is choice. And how we experience it collectively is the reckoning, the reconciling, the accounting of how many are choosing their highest octave. This that is before them, that is calling them up and out, as opposed to staying small. The old, the new versus the old. So now let's go to an overview of the April astrology. This is from Juliana McCarthy, the astrologer at etherealculture.com. And Colleen is saying, or you are in between. You can be in between, but not, remember, there's no riding the fence. This is where the rubber meets the road. These are themes that have been in the recent weeks of the weekly wisdom and insights from the unseen. This isn't about riding the fence. This isn't about having one foot in one and one foot in the other, because that's the ego, the human, negotiating, procrastinating, delaying, bartering. seeing if, well, if I really surrender, divinely surrender, listen to my soul, when I go as guided, will it work? But we have to be all in. We have to signal to the divine, to the universe, to the unseen, to the all that is. I'm choosing my highest octave. Guide me. There can't be second guessing. There can't be this, because then that's the energy you get. It's like the car is in neutral and yet we're expecting to go places. Or we're choosing to play it small. The car can be in, or we're cleaving to the past. Well, then the car's in reverse. That's what we're going to get. When the car is in drive, when we signal to the unseen, I'm going for it. I'm going to trust and listen and go as guided. Then the car's in drive. It's green lights. It's moving forward. It will be far greater than we would have ever chosen for ourselves. However, and this is important too, it's the fact that we don't know. We may not know. We'll have a knowing, but we may not know exactly where we're going, how we're getting there, when we're getting there, with whom. That may be unknown to us. But what's known is there's a pull, there's a calling, there's an up-leveling, an up-reaching. I'm supposed to do something, so I have to trust it. And Colleen is saying, I know, and as an Aries, yes, as an Aries, you're going to feel this even more so. Where Aries is in your natal chart, your birth chart, the house it's in, or that it represents, and so forth. Any other planets that may be there, or other aspects, astrological aspects. All of these things are going to layer and assist or explain more of what's happening with these energies. So there is because all of us, whether we're an Aries, whether our sun was in Aries when we were born or not, the energy is centralized. And it's all about the purity of the divine masculine. Aries represented divine masculine energy working in service. Are we choosing to allow that force, that energy, to move through us in an intuitive, knowing manner, soul source connection manner, and go as guided, even and especially when we don't know where it's taking us, but we know to do it. We know to not do something, and we listen. It will deliver us. So here's an overview. Juliana McCarthy. You can see the energy. Seems like it's just vibrating. The astrology of April 2026 on the precipice of becoming. So Juliana McCarthy, astrologer at etherealculture.com. In the midst of profound revolutionary shifts, April calls us into bold action. As a long Pisces chapter closes, the fog lifts and the world comes into focus. Decisions feel more immediate, consequential, and real. Even as chaos and calamity remain, the next era is taking shape, like fresh shoots pushing through winter's mulch. A rare concentration of Aries planets rules the sky in April. Mars enters the sign of the Ram tomorrow on April 9th, followed by Mercury on April 14th, joining Neptune, Saturn, and Chiron. By April 17th, the moon also enters Aries, and a massive 7-planet stellium forms. 7 planets in Aries. A striking, unmistakable emphasis. Life accelerates as our desires and momentum begin to unite. Yet somehow, this is not pure forward motion. Slingshot, ricochet. With Saturn and Neptune newly in Aries, we are navigating an uneasy blurring of illusion and reality, dreams and limitations. It's time to sharpen our vision even as we expand it. What is possible and what is not? What is real and what delusions do we still need to release? We are now summoned into our power, and we must be willing to confront our fears and continue forward with bravery and confidence. The ultimate lesson of Aries. See, this is about, it becomes easier when we're listening to our soul source connection. Yes, it may be front loaded with fear and anxiety, the hard stuff, the tough stuff. However, when we heed the call, when we divinely surrender and we listen, because we know it can be front loaded or back loaded, whichever one we want to experience. It's a choice. But either way, we're going to experience the hard part either in the beginning or once we've chosen something, we knew it wasn't probably, it was not our highest octave. And then all of a sudden we get slapped with the reality of, oh, and now what? Oh, now here comes the hard part. And remember, that hard part, the things we choose right now will have long-lasting effect. It's not a year or two, it could be a decade. So be very mindful. Is this what I want in my life for 10 years, not one? Think long term. Am I choosing? Do I want a minimized version of me for the next decade? Or do I want the highest octave of myself? It's a choice. It's always a choice. So it comes with this needing this courage, we're summoned into our power, and we must be willing to confront our fears and continue forward with bravery and confidence. It's the ultimate lesson of Aries. This is Juliana McCarthy at etherealculture.com. Chiron, the wounded healer, has spent the past 7 years in Aries, showing us where our inner masculine has felt fractured, rejected, or uncertain. Remember, that inner masculine, the divine masculine, is not based on gender. Whether male, female, transgender, whatever it may be in this lifetime, physically, energetically, we are both divine masculine, divine feminine. So here the wounded healer, Chiron, for the past 7 years, has been demonstrating and showing us where our inner masculine has felt fractured, rejected, or uncertain. The new moon on April 17th forms conjunct Chiron, marking the final chapter of this journey. We are learning to heal our self-worth and align with more meaningful values. We've all been there. We're all facing this healing of the shadow, of the goo, of the divine masculine. This is not a quote-unquote mansplaining male embodiment, male issue. It is a collective humanity issue. Whether male or female, transgender, whatever it may be, within the physical form, it's an us problem. It's not a they problem. Meanwhile, Uranus re-enters Gemini on April 25th, 26th, depending on where you are, fully igniting a 7-year transit after we had a glimpse last summer, because it went in to Gemini and then retrograded back, and now it's going to officially go back move forward into Gemini on the 25th, 26th of April. The way we think, communicate, and orient to life itself is radically changing as technological innovations also promise to drastically alter our world. Now more than ever, we must become our own leaders and shape the reality we wish to inhabit, understanding the power we hold when we are willing to wake up and face uncomfortable truths. April is the completion of a crossing that has long been underway. We're now welcoming a new landscape and inhabiting our place within it. Whatever happens, by the end of the month, we will be full steam ahead into a new story. Full steam ahead. It was number 3 in last week's show. Lack, limitation, and obstacles removed. Full steam ahead. So we are in this place of, the lack, the limitation, and the obstacles are being removed. 5, 6, 7 planets coming up in Aries. Creative masculine, the creative force, the kundalini, the fire to take action. all in divine time, will, and order. And it's a choice of, do we allow it? Are we allowing this to occur for us? Or are we resisting, rejecting, fighting against it? But you see how the planets are moving forward, as above, so below. Destiny, the arc of destiny is forward. Everything is forward. So mankind, humankind, there can be those that are trying to resist and stop time and go back in time. It's futile. They're saying to me, it's ignorant, because it means you're not in alignment with your highest octave, your nature. Your nature is divine. It's revolutionary. It's the creative and receptive force in unity, harmony, yin yang, harmony, balance. And when we accept that, choose that, actively choose it, it's beyond our comprehension. But mankind, over the course of time and millennia, thinks they know better. They think too much. Humanity thinks its way instead of receiving, listening, going as guided, as though we know better than the divine, the unseen, the all that is. We didn't create the divine created us. So you get the picture. And this is right, number 5 from the unseen, and 5 is about change. The struggle for power, the relinquishment of control. So the unseen is making this statement about the struggle for power. Look how humankind is. This struggle for power, control, and the manipulation and the lies and the illusions and the delusions and the falsehoods and all this crud. Because for this struggle for power, the relinquishment of control. When we relinquish the control, and relinquishment is the formal act of giving up, surrendering, or releasing something, such as a possession, a right, a claim, or a responsibility. It often implies voluntarily letting go of control, power, or a position, though it can sometimes be involuntary. Spiritually, relinquishment in a spiritual context is the intentional, joyful act of letting go of personal control, worldly attachments, and self-will to trust in a higher divine plan, a higher octave. It is a prayerful surrender that releases fears, desires, and outcomes into God's hands, the divine's hands, shifting from struggle to peace. Surrendering control is about letting go of personal agendas, plans, and the need to manage situations, treating this as a, quote, prayer of total surrender. To surrender is the most empowered you will be. This isn't giving up surrender. This isn't giving up to someone else. It's an internal surrender to your soul, to the divine, the unseen. It's allowing that to be in alignment. It's about getting rid of the burden of self, including ego, self-absorption, and self-sufficiency, acknowledging limited human understanding and trusting in divine guidance. It is similar to renunciation. It involves letting go of material ties and emotional dependencies in favor of spiritual liberation. It doesn't mean that we're not to have things, material things, abundance, wealth, homes, cars, this, that, and the other. It's just, what do they mean? Do we recognize that they're the set dressing? They're not the play. They're accoutrements. They're accessories. They're not the main event. They don't make us. Who are we without them? So whether we have them or we don't have them, are you the same beautiful, divine embodiment of the divine? Or do you shrink? Are you less than if you don't have them? And because they're either going to control you because that's what makes you who you are, or you recognize that they can come and go, they can ebb and flow, they can change, and what remains is greatness. It's not dependent on those things. It's not dependent on what people say or think of you. It's about what you know internally to be true. And lastly, it is not the destruction of the will. See, it's not the destruction of the ego, mind, personality, human, the will of the self, but it's transformation to align with the divine, with divine will, time, and order, often resulting in newfound freedom, joy, and peace. According to the C.S. Lewis Institute, this practice transforms our tight-fisted hold on life into a, quote, crucifixion of the will, allowing the spiritual growth and deeper connection to the divine to develop, to come to the fore. So this beautiful relinquishment. So number 5, the struggle for power, the relinquishment of control. And then the unseen said, Control, Alt, Delete. Control, Alt, Delete in computing terms, computer terms, that Control, Alt, Delete is a, pardon me, I got to put my specs on. It's a way of bypassing a stuck or frozen application or applications. You hit Control Alt Delete and you go in and you force quit the applications that are stuck or not working. So it's a way of bypassing, resetting. So the unseen is saying to us, see, recognize your own internal struggle for power, control, versus the relinquishment of it. And the way to do it, Control Alt Delete. Bypass the stuck programming. Reset it. Do whatever you need to do, because it's number 5 from the unseen, which represents change. Do whatever you need to do to reset this so that you're in flow and in alignment with your soul source connection. Now let's move to Pam Youngin's astrologer North Point Journal. And she's talking about the next steps. When Mars enters Aries this Thursday, it will immediately begin to energize the vibratory note of the Saturn-Neptune alignment, that 6,000 plus years alignment at 0 degrees Aries, and thus activate the next steps of the great unraveling. This life-changing, history-making alignment is destined to transform governments, systems, and societies as we now know them. Well, if it's destined to transform governments, systems, and societies, it's going to do that to us, for us, as we know them. In addition to the global effects of the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, each of us individually is working with this energy in some area of our personal lives. Some may be experiencing major endings and beginnings at this time, and that's okay. It might be scary, yes. However, when we just surrender to the divine, to our soul source connection, our knowing, you exhale. You come down out of the rafters, out of the chaos. You're centered, you're reconnected, you listen, you can hear, and go as guided. As a reminder, the last time Saturn and Neptune aligned was in 1989. That was the year that the Berlin Wall fell and German reunification began. There were revolutions across Eastern Europe, contributing to the end of communist rule in many countries. It was the beginning of the end of apartheid in South Africa, with the release of several political prisoners. Sadly, it was also the year that a reported 10,000 pro-democracy protesters in Tiananmen Square were killed by their government. Of the 8 planets that will congregate this month in the sign of the Ram, the Sun, the Moon, Mercury, Mars, Saturn, Neptune, Chiron, and Eris, Mars is likely to be the one to watch. The red planet is at full strength in Aries, the sign of its rulership, its domicile. Each of the aspects Mars makes during its transit of Aries from April 9th to May 18th could correspond with a significant event or turning point. Of special note are the Mars-Neptune alignment on April 12th and the Mars-Mercury-Saturn conjunction on April 19th and 20th. These dates are likely to be pivotal in the unraveling process that is already clearly underway. With Mars-Neptune, this alignment this Sunday, coming up, brings together two planets with very different personas. And it is very important at this time to align our actions with our highest morals and ideals, our highest octave, and to avoid taking shortcuts. Mars is the agent of desire, assertive action, and the human ego, while Neptune represents the compassionate heart, the humanitarian service, and spiritual transcendence. In the positive, Mars, Neptune together, conjunct, can assist us in aligning our personal desires with our soul's directives. This is the energy of divinely inspired action and the embodiment of the enlightened warrior. It's because we're choosing. The enlightened warrior is one who chooses to be in the flow, to listen, to surrender, to align, to allow. However, to benefit from this conjunction, this Mars-Neptune conjunction, we must be willing to surrender to our higher self, to listen to our intuition rather than our ego, and to set aside a need to control outcomes. This could not be more finely woven if we tried. And just for everybody listening, this is not me, James the human. Dearjames sits down and listens to the unseen. And the unseen, everything from what they give to the pieces that are interwoven into Weekly Wisdom and Insights, it is all the unseen, the divine, the all that is, God. That is who brings all of this together. It's not me. And thus, it's about when we set aside the need to control outcomes, the divinity of the beauty, the synchronicity, the interwovenness of all of this effortlessly comes together. We have to show up. It's a choice. Do I show up or not? However, when we do, extraordinary magic occurs. And that's important for all of us to realize. Do we show up and surrender and to allow that creative force and the receptive force, the divine, to move through us to bring about magic, awe, wonder, miracles, this beautiful tapestry? If we try to force action or push a selfish agenda at this time, our efforts are likely to lead nowhere, leaving us feeling disillusioned and disoriented. Thus, some might feel confused, at sea, uncertain of their direction or their desires under this influence. What you will know is you may not know how you're going, like we said, where, how, who, when, but you'll have a knowing of whether you're controlling something and you're flowing upstream, you're fighting, or you surrender. You do the hard part up front, surrender, let go, and see where the divine guides you, leads you, takes you. Alicia is saying, Alicia's leaving for a meeting, so she's wishing everybody well. It is important to remember, this is North Point Journal, Pam Youngins. It is important to remember that next Sunday's Mars-Neptune conjunction is just one step of a process, with the Mars-Saturn alignment 7 days later representing step 2. So we've got Mars-Neptune first, then Mars will move forward and conjunct with Saturn. With the first aspect, we can either align with our spiritual nature, our highest octave, or experience ego confusion due to holding on too tightly. With the second, meaning the Mars-Saturn conjunction that's coming up, we can either consolidate our efforts and realize steady progress, or we could feel frustrated and angry because our desires have not been fulfilled. Are we in the flow? That's what matters. The struggle for power, the relinquishment of control, and this CTRL-ALT-DELETE. 6 from the unseen is swift moving energies and events guide and control the outcome. from the divine, all in divine time, will, and order. Things are getting hot. So swift moving energies and events guide and control the outcome, the narrative, the outcome. And then it was this fire and air, or earth, wind, and fire. And they said, the unseen said, make use of this time. Make use of this time to be in alignment, to listen, to let go, to allow, to align, so that you're, and to choose your highest octave, so that what you receive is extraordinary, not ordinary. Nothing wrong with ordinary. However, when extraordinary is on the menu, choose it. Choose to go for it. Lastly, number 7 from the unseen is hidden figures, and there's a double meaning to this. So they said hidden figures. It's the title to a movie that told the story of, against the backdrop of the 60s, the race to get to the moon, and there were many, but 3 prominent African-American women at NASA. That one was an engineer, one was the foregone specialist of the early computing, the IBM, the I believe it was called Fortran technology, and the other one literally a mind well beyond a savant in terms of her mind with math and numbers, and how these 3 women were the reason that America made it to the moon. But their contribution was hidden. Their contribution in our world history, let alone our American history, was hidden. Why? Because of the goo, the shadow of the insecurities of the divine masculine, this male, patriarchal, male-dominated society era. So hidden figures come to light, is what the unseen is saying. Hidden figures come to light. And this can be about mathematics, physics, accounting, winnings, royalties, rewards. And look how Artemis 2 has just made its furthest journey to the moon and is returning. And they're saying to us that number 7 is divine fulfillment and completion. It's the foundation of God's word, the divine's word. So hidden figures come to light. Mathematics, physics, accounting, winnings, royalties, rewards. This and the contributions that advanced humanity well beyond, see, our highest octave. These women, and there were many in the computational, in the computer department, if you will, at NASA, initially with separate bathrooms, all that segregation, all of that stuff. And yet it was these women, these 3 women, and the extraordinariness of their wisdom, their divinity, that allowed humanity, let alone America, to quantum leap into the future, to experience something that we hadn't before, something extraordinary. Well, here's the divine feminine. Here's the matriarchal Aquarian, we the people, the star of Regulus, the heart of the lion, at 0 degrees Virgo, shining her light. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. We're coming into this moment of great luminosity, light, wisdom, divine knowing. And this is where we find ourselves. And again, it's, are we choosing it? And lastly, I want to close with Astrology by Lauren. And she's talking about this disseminating moon. And she begins with a quote by Albert Einstein. There are only 2 ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. It is about, is the glass half empty or half full? Is everything a miracle? magic, awe, and wonder, or is nothing? It's a choice. Astrology by Lauren. There are at least 3 stories that we can share this week. One is the story of the Jupiter-Uranus cycle, which was being highlighted by the full moon on April 1st, the full moon in Libra. Although weakened by its separation, Jupiter and Uranus have been close enough to form a minor semi-square aspect in astrology, which had been exact last August, so August 2025. We may not necessarily remember what was going on in the spring of 2024, nor the late summer of 2025, but this story has been gradually unfolding in our lives through bright and shiny moments of realization that were compelling us to take the next step into our future. It reeked of freedom, of shattering the chains that bind, of the willingness to take the risk to grow beyond our current circumstances. Innovative, creative, our own inner rebel has been daring us to unleash the shackles of our lives that keep us from living our own best lives, our highest octave, even if it seemed inconceivable at the time. Meaning we may not know, but we know. Or we may not be able to see it, but we know. The good news is that when Uranus enters Gemini on the 25th, 26th of April, and then Jupiter enters Leo at the end of June, they will then form an opening sextile. That's its beginning, and a sextile is a harmonious aspect in astrology. So they'll form an opening sextile in July, a transit of positive potential and opportunity. Right now, it could feel like we are tossing spaghetti on the wall and trying to understand the patterns at work. But by next summer, we may begin to see some results for all our efforts up until now. This is the story of freedom. Freedom of expression, freedom to live our own best lives, and the sort of creative expansion that can only come when we break down the inhibitions that bind us. This is breaking the glass ceiling. This is breaking the chains that bind us. This is a breakthrough. This is freedom. This is Columbia, liberty, freedom, justice, Lady Liberty, the luminosity of the divine shining down through us, upon us. It is accelerated advance. It is about, we can see the beginning is near. This high octane 5, 6, 7, 8 planets and bodies in Aries, it's blast off. This is takeoff time. And look, Artemis 2, blast off. Things are moving fast. Your soul source connection, your compass, it will lead you home. It will lead you to true north. Listen to it, choose it, surrender to it, allow it to lead you. We all have a golden ticket. New adventure awaits. Are we willing to cash it in, to use it? It's a choice. And that ticket belongs to the golden ticket train that's taking us to a place that is far greater than we would ever choose for ourselves. It is all about sunshine and rainbows. And I'm not being funny about that or airy-fairy about it, but it's the radiance of the sunflower, of that creative force moving through us in service to our receptive force, to the divine feminine, Regulus in Virgo. And it comes along with the luck of the Irish, this beautiful magic, awe, and wonder that's inexplicable, unexplainable. And when we're aligned with it, it just is. This is where we are. You see the big smile on my face. I hope you can hear the passion and the joy in my voice, that we're all on this magical journey of discovery, of renewal. And so trust where it's guiding you. Trust where it's leading you. Be kind with yourselves. Stay in the center of the storm, not in the chaos, and allow it to guide you forward. I love you all so much. Thank you for your presence, your comments, your energy. and your commitment and your loyalty to yourselves, to your soul, and showing up each week and seeing where the unseen, the all that is, the divine, God guides you, guides us. We'll see you next week.